Hi there, so thanks for inquiring about our yoga and Pilates teacher trainings at Harmonise Training Academy. I'm just going to briefly explain the journey from when you first sign up to completion of the course for the yoga teacher training. So your learning journey will begin straight away. You'll start to keep a journal of every class you attend, and I'll email you a list of questions about what you need to put into each journal entry. What you might decide to put into that entry will evolve throughout the course. Once you start doing the face-to-face weekends and you start learning more about the philosophy and maybe more about sequencing, you might then start to include little sequences that you liked, or might be aware of pranayama or bandha usage that was put into your classes. So that's the journal. You can start as soon as you sign up, and that gets handed in at the end of the course, and that's a minimum of 70 hours of journaling. And then we also ask you to start doing some anatomy and physiology learning to prepare you as much as possible before you start the course. The more you can do before, the more you'll be prepared, and it will hopefully create less stress during the course, which there is quite a lot of ongoing learning to do. So there is a book that we ask you to buy, and then I email you a Word document with all of the basic anatomy information in there, and then I relate it to certain pages. So, and then I also send you some little worksheets that you can use to practice on and check that you've remembered some of the most important information. And we've also got a few video links that we've done to help a visual learning guide for some of the most important anatomical terms. And then on the course, right from day one, we're really focusing on the practical elements. So you'll start teaching right from weekend one. First of all, it's in a group situation, just to get you used to standing up in front of people. And then every weekend we meet, you will do a teach to a small group of people and be given individual feedback from a trained assessor. And I really have since, time and time again, the difference between the very first weekend to the last time you do a practical assessment. Each time you do a mini teacher's feedback, the progress and the transformation is really noticeable. So by the end of the course, it's almost like we're watching people that have already been teaching, and I think it really helps to build up that confidence of standing up in front of people. If we do feel somebody's not quite ready by the end of the course, we do have a set of criteria. We give it to you all at the start of the course, so you know what you're trying to reach by the end. And every time we give you feedback according to those criteria. If we feel you're not quite ready by the end of the course, sometimes it is quite intense, and if people are working full time, etc., we do ask people just to come back again, say in a month or 6 weeks' time. We don't charge any more for it, and it happens rarely, but it does happen sometimes. And at the end, they always say how grateful they are that they've been given that opportunity to come back and have another practice. We call it practice with feedback. So that by the time everybody graduates from Harmonise, they have reached a certain set of criteria and benchmark, which I think is really important in terms of certifying somebody ready to go out and teach. We're well aware that this is the start of your journey, so we're not expecting you to be perfect by any means. Your learning journey will never end. So really, once you graduate, that is the start of your never-ending, ongoing learning journey. But it's obviously important that you're able to teach safe and effective class to a group and manage a group of people. So that's good practical teaching. We also do philosophy, and you do worksheets for the philosophy, which you also hand in at the end of the course. So we're just double checking that you've absorbed that information and that you have processed it and understood that. We take an anatomy test on the third weekend, which you need to get 70% to pass. We go through everything face to face. So you've done your pre-course learning, we review it and put it in your bodies on the first weekend. We go back over it and expand that knowledge on the second weekend. We're also applying it in our asana workshops throughout the course. So by the time you actually take the paper by weekend 3, you'll be very well prepared. And then we ask you to write lesson plans. So once we've taught you all of the postures, all of the modifications, use of props, how to make something easier and harder, then we will ask you to write lesson plans from that. And to start with, we do a Hatha format because that's easier to teach, and I think that allows you to observe your students more, maybe give you the confidence to walk around the room a little bit. And then at the end of the course, then we start linking and adding the Vinyasa flow. So really try and build it up throughout the course. We're also very focused on being able to teach beginners, because I think that's probably the most challenging aspect of being a good teacher, is taking somebody off the street who's never done any yoga before, has got no body awareness, and actually how do we deal with that, and how do we help them, motivate them, and make them feel like they can achieve something. So we do strip everything down and look at the easiest expression of every pose. And then I think that gives you then a really good, realistic foundation to be able to go and teach. And then through your CPD courses, obviously you can then start to focus on more of the advanced asana and putting those into flows and things. So then on your last weekend, you'll do your practical assessment. You'll hand everything in, there's a folder you hand in, and hopefully you've met all the criteria and you'll pass. And then the rest of that weekend, we do workshops, we do sequences, and you have a really nice immersion day on the last day with lots of practice. So it's quite a nice way to end the course, because you've finished doing everything you need to do for your assessments. We have a WhatsApp group throughout the course, so there's plenty of opportunity for you to stay in touch, to ask questions. I'm always on hand. And then we also have a closed Facebook group for Harmonised graduates that you can join, where it's an ongoing support network. There's often people putting cover requests on there, so you might get teaching work through that. If you've got any questions, there's also information about CPD courses, so that will be there for you ongoing. And also plenty of our graduates are teaching here at Revitalise. There's community classes here that you can get involved in. At the very least, there's plenty of cover opportunities. So we really do try and support and keep an open communication right from when you sign up, even to after you've graduated and you're out there teaching. So if you've got any more questions, please feel free to email, but I do hope that I will meet you at some point. Thank you.